Hello and welcome to the first video in this series of videos supplementing the Programming in Visual Basic for iGCSE support booklet. What I'm going to do today is go straight to program number 1 on page 4, and I'm going to walk you through the creation of this program. I'm also going to be pointing out some helpful tips within the software, so you can use this to refer back to should you get confused in future programs. Right, the first thing I'm going to do here is create a new project. So I'm going to click on New Project, and I want a Windows Form application, but I do not want the file name to be Windows Application 1. I'm going to call this Question 1 iGCSE, and you can call it something similar, but making sure that it makes sense. So if you go looking for this file, you will understand what this particular file relates to. So once I've given it a name, I'm going to click OK. That will create my project. As you can see, I have a form here, and I have my toolbox down here, I have my Solution Explorer here, and I have my property window here. Sometimes they don't appear, so you may have something which looks something like this. Should that occur, you go to View, View Toolbox, View Solution Explorer, View Properties window. So it's not very difficult to hide them and to unhide them. Right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the design, which is heavily labeled in the center of the page on page 4. And I'm going to put a label box. You can tell it's a label box because of its name being LBL User Info. So the first thing I'm going to do is give it the name that the booklet suggests. LBL User Info. And then it's got some text in it, so I'm going to scroll down to the text property and fill it in, entering this. Enter 2 numbers, then click on Add to get the answer. So there we go, you can see my very ugly label box there. The next thing I'm going to do is put the next label box in. So just go here and here. Here I'm going to change the text to enter first number. And then I'm going to change the name of that box, which is also very important. I'm going to change the name of that box to LBL num1, because that's the first number label box. Go to the next label, and I'm going to repeat this process again here, num2, and change the text here to enter second number. Good. Now I've got my label box done here. I'm going to put in some text boxes. The difference between text boxes and label boxes is that when the program is running, you can write into a text box. So that's my first text box. That has the name txt num1 in. I'm just going to copy and paste this text box because I like to keep the same sizes. And I'm going to change the name of this text box to text num2 in. There's another label box to go in at the bottom here called, on the booklet it says question mark for what it's called, but I'm going to call it answer, LBL answer. And that requires a text box too and some text. So just go here, rename that total. Now I need a text box. The name of this text box is text total out. And the last thing we need to enter here is a command button. So in it goes, a nice command button, which we're going to name cmd add. And I'm going to write on that text button in the text property add. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 objects on this form, and we're now going to start programming. So to start programming, you double click on the object that you want the programming code to go behind. So here I go. I'm going to double click on the button because when I press the button, I want the mathematics to start happening. So here we go. You can see that I've come in here. The computer has automatically generated this line of code and this line of code. Do not touch these lines of code. These lines of code are generated by the computer, who is far superior to you. So the first thing we're going to do is write some rem codes. Dara Comerford. That is important that we write this stuff because it allows us to remind ourselves why we wrote this code, when we wrote this code, and who wrote this code. Okay, here we go. The first line of code is quite interesting. Dim num1, num2, and total as integer. Make sure you put a comma. These are 3 integers. We've created 3 variables of integers. Now I'm going to give num1 a value. Num1 value will be the val of text num. I don't really like writing, so I'm going to take this .text. So let me just explain this line of code. Num1 is a variable that can hold a number, and that is a whole number, not a decimal. In a text box, we hold text values. But because we've entered a number into this text box, we use this code here, val, to tell the computer, no, it's not a piece of text, it's actually a number. So that will then put the value of the text box into this variable here. So now I'm going to copy that again for num2. This time I'm putting the other number in there. So I now have both of my numbers in memory of the computer. So what do I do now? Well, I need to create the total. The total is equal to num1 plus num2. Very simple. The value of num1 will be added to the value of num2, and in computers we work right to left, and the value will be over here and exist in total. Now, when I play this piece of code by pressing the play button up here, an interesting thing is going to happen. 5 plus 6, we can expect the value of 11 to occur, and when I press the add button, nothing happens. And the reason nothing happens is because I have not told the computer to display the value of the total. So here I've done this just within the variables in memory. Now I'm going to ask the computer to display the answer. And I do that by typing answer, label, no, I have to remember what I called my text box. I called it text total out. So I must here now go and say text total out dot text is equal to total. The value of total will go right to left into the text box property text, and that will therefore display. When I play this now, I type in 5, I type in 6, and I press add. I get the value 11, which is correct. And just to further test this, 3 and 6 will give me 9. That completes page 4, program 1.